Kund Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadanarandana Yashodanandana Brajadanarandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadanarandana Yashodanandana Brajadanarandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Gaura Pimanandi Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Prajgacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Zainitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksurambalitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sehitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Sri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam bhagavatam nama
Idam bhagavatam nama
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Uttama Shloka Charitam
Uttama Shloke Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nisheshaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat.
Dhanyam Shashayanam Mahat.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Advaita Gadadhar
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta
Sri
Vrinda.
Vajadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyai
Om
Namaha.
Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vatalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our Bhagavatam class from first canto, continuing chapter 7, entitled The Son of Drona Punished. And today we are reading text number 28, correct? Okay. Na hi asyan yatamam kinchid astram pratyavakarsanam zahi astra teja unmadham astra no hi astra chedas tejasa na hyasyanyattamam kinchid astram pratyavakarsanam jayastra teja unnadham astrogno yastra tejasa nayasyanyatamam kinchid astram pratyavakarsanam sande jayastra teja unnadham astragno yastra tejasa na yasyanyatamam kinchid. You can give water to Tulsi. Meantime, water to Tulsi if you like, if you haven't already. Right here. Hey, Mataji. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Na tamam kinchid
nahyasyanyatamam kinchit
astram pratyavakarsanam
astram pratyavakarsanam
jayastra teja unnadham
jahyastra teja unnadham
astragno yastra tejasa
astragno yastra tejasa
na hyasyan yatamam kinchid
nahyasyanyatamam kinchit
astram pratyavakarsanam
astram pratyavakarsanam
jayastra teja unnadham
jahyastra teja unnadham
astragno yastra tejasa
astragno yastra tejasa
नायस्यान्यतमं किञ्चित्
nayasyan yattamam kinchid
अस्त्रं प्रत्यावकर्षणम्
astram pratyavakarsanam
शस्त्रातेज उन्नद्धम्
jayastra teja unnadham
अस्त्रज्ञो अस्त्रतेजसा
astragno yastra tejasa
nahyasyanyatamam kinchit
nayasyan yattamam kinchid
astrang pratyavakarsanam
astram pratyavakarsanam
jahyastra teja unnadham
yayastra teja unnadham
astragyo hyastra tejasa
astragno yastra tejasa
nahyasyanyatamam kinchit
nayasyan yattamam kinchid
astram pratyavakarsanam
astram pratyavakarsanam
jahyastra teja unnadham
jayastra teja unnadham
astragno hyastra tejasa
astragno yastra tejasa. Can you go and get that dog out of there before he thinks it's his house?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I mean they're already occupying the guest house.
They're occupying. the
Yeah,
guest
yeah,
house.
well, you know, they're the first guests.
They usually are.
Yeah, right. Na,
na
not
not
he,
he
certainly,
certainly
asya,
asya
of it,
of it
anyatamam,
anyatamam
other,
other
kinchit,
kinchit
anything,
anything
astram,
astram
weapon,
weapon
prati,
prati
counter,
counter
counter,
counter
yes. Avakarshanam,
avakarshanam
reactionary.
reactionary
Jahi,
jahi
subdue it.
subdue it
Astratejaha,
astratejaha
the glare of this weapon.
the glare of this weapon
Unadham,
unnadham
very powerful.
very powerful
Astragnaha,
astragnaha
expert in military science.
expert in military science
He,
he
certainly.
certainly
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Here it's translated as a matter of fact.
as a matter of fact
As a matter of fact.
as a matter of fact
Sometimes he is translated certainly, but here it's translated otherwise. Astratejasa,
astrategasa
by the influence of your weapon.
by the influence of your weapon
Yes. So this is Krishna, who is replying actually to Arjuna. Arjuna, probably last Sunday, was offering prayers to Krishna actually because Ashvatthama had thrown this Brahmastra, Ashvatthama, and Arjuna wanting to know what it was and where it was coming from, had offered prayers to Krishna and then had asked him, and Krishna here is continuing his reply. And it is as follows. O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Kindly repeat after me. O Arjuna,
O Arjuna,
only another Brahmastra
only another Brahmastra
can counteract this weapon.
can counteract this weapon.
Since you are expert
Since you are expert
in the military science,
in the military science,
subdue this weapon's glare
subdue this weapon's glare
by the power of
by the power of
your own weapon.
your own weapon.
Purport. For the atomic bombs, there is no counter weapon to neutralize the effects. But by subtle science, the action of a Brahmastra can be counteracted. And those who are expert in the military science in those days could counteract the Brahmastra. The son of Dronacharya did not know the art of counteracting the weapon, and therefore Arjuna was asked to counteract it by the power of his own weapon. Yesterday, and possibly the day before, yesterday especially, very interesting subject matter regarding nuclear energy. In the text, actually, Prabhupada had translated astram. He had translated the word astram as hymns of nuclear energy. Hymns. So in the Shastra, in the Vedic literatures, we find hymns means mantras. There are various kinds of mantras. And of course, Prabhupada was making the point in the purport yesterday that Brahmastra, mantras that evoke Brahmastra, they are material mantras. They are material sound vibration, which means that even material sound vibration is extremely powerful. And this science was, of course, known in those days because there were very qualified individuals. The qualified individuals were qualified as brahmanas, especially, and qualified as kshatriyas. So both brahmanas and kshatriyas were therefore having such type of we could say extraordinary powers. Nowadays, and this has been the kind of mainstream, we could say. Mainstream is Kali Yuga, as Prabhupada would often remind us, we are living in the age of machine. Machines are gross. Like we hear of Biman. Biman means airplane. So there are descriptions in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures of how demigods, they travel in their airplanes. But they are of a different nature. It's like, Lord Vishnu's airplane is Garuda. Yes. And in Indonesia, they have Garuda Airlines. It's a national airline.
Yes. That's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, you feel secure when you fly Garuda. But there's a lot of competition in Kali Yuga against Garuda and things that are Vedic, because the age of machine is like, this is like gross, you know, and of course, to manipulate material energy to create machines like, you know, these cell phones and recordings and so many things, that requires good intelligence, but it is misused intelligence, because it is, Prabhupada mentions how the more we become entangled with these gross machines, then we distance ourselves from actually the from the Vedic culture. For example, this whole science, subtle science of sound vibration, both material and spiritual. And we were mentioning also how that is one of the main reasons that those who are in Gurukul, they spend a lot of time hearing and memorizing and repeating. If one goes to, for example, in the Himalayas and visits some of the old ashrams, one will still, who was telling me, I think just yesterday, the day before, because we were discussing about what's coming up here is our Jagyashala. The Jagyashala, those pillars that you might, right. We're not there last week. Things are popping up from the ground. So I was mentioning that once we have Gurukul boys, naturally we want to especially follow the traditional. Of course, we'll incorporate um, the modern aspect of what Krishna consciousness is all about, which means to preach. So preaching, of course, will be there, but it's also important. This is also preaching, adopting the traditional ways of learning in the Gurukul, which entails a lot of recitation, memorization, and they would do this in connection with Homa, Yajna. So this devotee was telling me that he had visited, it was a boy actually, a boy Prabhu. He was telling me that in the early days when he was just coming in contact with devotees, they had, with Lokanath Maharaj, had walked, he was part of Padayatra, from Delhi to Badrinath, which is a good distance. And there was an old temple where, since like millennium, they were still having this, they were maintaining this Nitya Homa. Nitya Homa is where the fire never dies. And every day, because they perform jagyas, maybe more than one jagya, so the ashes are still there. And so you just, the next morning, put wood, dry wood, on top, and then, right, yeah. I mean, previously in villages, there was a place where the fire is there, and so you didn't have to buy matches or lighters or whatever. Yeah. So, so people were lining up actually to kind of like touch, put ashes on their forehead, like auspicious and whatnot. And then he was telling that actually, so he got in line, I mean, something very special. This temple has been here since God knows how long, and this is very rare to find, this Nitya Homa. So he got in line, and then he got ashes on his forehead, and then he was telling that after that, one devotee mentioned to him that, did you notice that actually most of the people who line up to get the ashes are ladies. I said, no, I didn't. And you know, the reason why they line up to get ashes on their forehead is so that they get benediction to get married.
Oh no!
Shortly after he got married. So chanting of hymns are, it's not only chanting of hymns, let's say when you're in a temple or in a yajna. Sound vibration is extremely, I mean, it's very, very important in any advanced culture, especially in the Vedic culture, which is the most advanced culture. I was mentioning how those who are public figures, like kings, for example, those who have to deal with the public, part of their training is how to be very eloquent, how to speak very nicely so that people become, you know, captivated by the words, by the way you present the words, you know, by the intonations and all of this, which was something that Prabhupada was expert at.
Yes. There's a devotee in New Vrindavan. You know Sankirtan Prabhu?
I believe so.
Sankirtan and Ruchi. Sankirtan has done so much. His words are like that. When he speaks, you're totally...
You become captivated.
Just hear it. You can hear him just say something ordinary.
Okay.
Immediately captivated.
Yeah.
He does a lot of plays.
Huh?
He does a lot of plays.
Oh, he does a lot of plays, okay.
And he used to do one-person plays the whole time.
Okay.
One person.
One person.
And it was completely captivating.
Yes.
To listen to.
Yeah. So sound vibration is extremely important, especially for devotees. So here we get some insights into the military science. A lot of the modern, martial arts are more on the gross physical level, but there are more subtle levels that are there. Okay. So these are a few short comments on Krishna is advising Arjuna here that because well, that's something, you know, why is it, for example, that Ashwatthama did not know how to counteract this Brahmastra weapon? What's the reason? Or what's the explanation? He knew how to throw it. He chanted mantra, and so why he didn't know how to withdraw it?
He did not learn completely.
Yes.
The art of military sign.
Yes.
He learned only how to release, but not learning how to
withdraw.
So it is incomplete study.
Yes.
Because he was an unqualified son of a Brahmin. Therefore, he didn't have the potency to withdraw.
Actually, actually, it's like Dronacharya, who was his father and the teacher of all the Pandavas. We know that in the Vedic culture, a teacher will teach, especially things that are of a very secret nature, only to those who are qualified. So he was not qualified. In some ways, maybe he was like not qualified also to release the Brahmastra weapon. So that's the understanding that Arjuna was the most qualified of all the students when they were learning all of the different martial arts. I don't know how many years, probably quite a few years. You know, the Pandavas, there's in the Mahabharata, at one point when the Pandavas, who are still young, they come to the court, they come to, you know, when Pandu dies, then Queen Kunti brings them to Indraprastha, and then then there's a whole immediate conflict, you know, between Dronacharya, who's also like a teenage. They're teenage boys. If you've seen the Mahabharata, you see the Queen Kunti after she loses her husband, you know, so she has to take shelter. She takes shelter. Bhishmadev is there and he's welcoming them, and Dronacharya is looking at these Pandavas, you know.
Competition.
They're competitors, you know, and there's all kinds of intrigues and whatnot. But then at some point, okay, it's time, like they have to get training as Kshatriyas, and they leave for many years. So in the Mahabharata story, we see them when they're young boys, you know, and then they're sent to Gurukul and they come back. It means they're in Gurukul for many years, maybe 10 years or something. And they come back as, you know, men. And it's very, very fascinating because when they come back, it's like nobody has seen them, because when one goes to Gurukul, it's not like in modern Gurukul, the parents come every weekend, you know. How are you? You know, they call them up, whatever. I mean, they go to Gurukul for years without coming home for holidays. There's no holidays. And so they come back, and then when they come back from their training, one by one they enter. Have you seen that video? Yeah, right. Then they display what they have learned, you know. And Arjuna, of course, he's the expert bowman, anyways, it's very fascinating. So when they are in the Gurukul, yeah, that's a very unique and special feature in Vedic education, that the Brahmana, sometimes it might be Kshatriya. Brahmanas generally are the ones who teach. Kshatriyas may also be teaching. They will only divulge or give certain types of knowledge to those who are extremely qualified. And of all the students of Dronacharya, Arjuna, of course, I mean, we hear how he was practicing day and night. He knew how to shoot his bow this way and this way, right? He could shoot in the dark. I mean,
So that means that Dronacharya, he didn't teach his own son, even his own son.
Yes.
That's a real Brahmin.
That's a real Brahmin.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Because he knew his son wasn't.
Right. So, something that is totally missing in modern education, because people teach, of course, they don't really have anything substantial to teach. So in one sense, it doesn't really matter, but it's an important component or aspect of the Vedic education, or Vedic knowledge is meant to be awarded or given only to those who have proven themselves, those who are very. So that's why I remember some years back, I was visiting in North America, visiting a few temples, and I was making the observation that actually education is not a right. It is not everyone's right. And the devotee said, "What do you mean? You know, every government in the world is promoting and telling, you know, everyone should have access to education. It's everyone's right to be educated. But actually, from our Vedic point of view, education is not a right. It is a privilege. Just like it's not everyone's right. It's not everyone's right to live in a temple. It's a privilege to live in a temple. You have to be qualified. You have to agree to attend Mangalarti. You have to agree to so many things if you're going to live in a temple. And similarly, practicing of bhakti, although everyone can, but it's a privilege. It only works for those who agree to the various principles that are given. Those who take up seriously the process of bhakti. So like this, actually, there are many. I would say that the Vedic culture is full of hidden secrets, hidden gems. It's like a mine, gold and minerals and gems and not so easily to be found. One has to be very serious about. One has to know what he's looking for, and one has to be actually qualified as well. That's the same. I mean, for understanding what is even presented in the books, we will read it, but we will not we will not immediately so easily be able to pick up on it or to understand it. Even on the level of material sciences, um, like education is a material science, we could say. Economics is a material science. But actually, from a Vedic perspective, it is it is a hidden because it is very um, it is very confidential. In other words, in the Vedic culture, not only are spiritual things of a confidential nature, even material things, material sciences, are of a confidential nature. And that's why it is not at all easy for ordinary people, even it is not at all easy for so-called, let's say, ordinary devotees. If someone is like a little too ordinary, or maybe to use another term, casual, then he will not be able to pick up on those subtle sciences. And those subtle sciences, both material and spiritual, are very fascinating actually when you start to think about it and start to unravel some of these sciences. They're all tucked away, they're all hidden in the small village of Vrindavan. Yeah. That's why when Kamsa, after many, many attempts of sending his different representatives, who all never came back because they were all killed by Krishna. So one fine day, Kamsa decides, well, I guess I'm going to have to do it myself, right?
Right.
You know the story of Kamsa going to Vrindavan?
No, I don't.
Oh.
He went to Vrindavan himself.
He went to Vrindavan with the intent that I'm going to somehow or other do this job myself. All of my men have failed me. Useless guys. They were all killed by Krishna. All the different, Aristasura and Bakasura and all the asuras, So Kamsa goes to Vrindavan. Now, there's a particular place that when you actually enter. So as he's about to enter Vrindavan, you just can't enter Vrindavan like that. So Purnamasi is there. Hey, she said, "Hey, where are you going?" Well, I'd like to meet Krishna. She said, "Well, you just can't do it like that. You have those who are very close to Krishna, the gopis. Only the gopis have opportunity to actually be to meet Krishna. So you have to become a gopi." So Kamsa said, "Well, how do I do that?" There's one kund is there. You just jump in that kund and you'll become a gopi. So Kamsa says, "Well, I guess I have to do this sacrifice to to accomplish my mission here." So he jumps in the kund and becomes a gopi.
Wow.
A new gopi in Vrindavan. So, Gopi Kamsa.
Mataji Kamsa.
Yeah, well, the gopis, oh, there's a new gopi. So he says, I'd like to do some seva for Krishna. So the gopis, they tell him, "Oh, that's very good that you have this intention, but first you have to be trained." You have to be trained. Okay. So what's the training? Well, you come with us. So the gopis, they take Gopi Kamsa and they go to a pile of cow dung. So every day we have to make, these cow cakes. Cow cakes? So yeah, you just take you take the cow dung, like you make it into a ball, and then you throw it on the wall. So Kamsa, he's never done this, right? So he takes some cow dung like this, tries to make a ball, and then he's looking at the other gopis, he's trying to do what they're doing. So he throws it on the wall. All the other gopis are looking at him. What kind of gopi is this? So he tries a few times, and then all the gopis start laughing at him. So Kamsa, he's not accustomed to being laughed at. He's Kamsa, right? So he said, "Hey, I'm not going to take this." So this is too much. So he leaves Vrindavan.
That was pretty easy to defeat him. Maharaj, a few years ago when Dhammakunda first, was over at the
Grihastha.
we had a Gopastami celebration, and we invited many devotees to come, and we thought we should have a couple of games.
Yeah, a couple of games, cow dung games.
Especially because many children were coming, but even for the adults.
Yes.
It's a celebration. So I said to Dhammakunda, I said, Dhammakunda, devotees, they hear that cow dung is pure, but you get a devotee to pick up some cow dung, they go,
yeah.
You want me? They're not so willing to do it.
Yes.
Most devotees
Correct. Yes.
will not do it.
Yeah.
So I said, we should have a game where we have a big pile of cow dung, and the devotees, we have two teams, Matajis and Prabhus, and they're throwing cow dung at the wall.
Yes.
He said, yes, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Let's do that. And I can report that everyone's cow dung hit the wall. It didn't go sliding down.
Oh, is it, huh?
Yeah, they did it. And one devotee in particular, he was very good devotee, but he was like, when it came to picking up the cow dung, and I said, Prabhu, cow dung is pure. I said, anyway, Lakshmi resides in the cow dung. He said, oh, my wife is about to have a child. I need Lakshmi.
So even he was successful.
So even he was successful.
Lakshmi.
Yes, Lakshmi makes people do many things.
Cannot avoid Lakshmi.
So that's the thing, actually, is that most devotees don't understand where the real Lakshmi is.
Yes.
So culture, Krishna wants everyone to be rich, to be opulent. And the way to be rich and opulent is to be connected with cow dung. That means to have cows. And every day, actually, to interact with Lakshmi. To hold Lakshmi in your hands. Yeah. So, anyways, from sound vibration to Lakshmi and cow dung. So Vedic culture like this, yeah, I mean, we were talking about how things are hidden. I mean, what can be more hidden than Lakshmi and cow dung? You tell that to ordinary people. Even in Cambodia, when we first went to Cambodia, unfortunately, because so many, I guess it's karma, right? So many bad things happen. Civil war many years ago, etc., like that, destroying the whole country and destroying agriculture, destroying people. So many people died, etc. But the end result is that although they still have, that was like 15 years back when we first started to go to Cambodia. And one of the amazing things was that majority of people live in the country. And the vast majority of people living in the country have cows, beautiful cows, Indian cows, Indian-looking cows with the hump on the back. And you go in villages, you see Tulsi everywhere. Very pious. But unfortunately, they don't touch cow dung. They don't know how to use the cow dung. They consider cow dung to be impure because they've lost proper connection, yeah. So it means that so many things that are there in the Vedic culture are actually covered, are hidden, and unless one becomes qualified, he will not be able to uncover that the value, so many valuable things, both material and spiritual, just like the soil. The soil, Prabhupada would say, is gold. But what have we done in modern day society? We've totally, polluted with chemical fertilizers and our ways of using machines and tractors and whatnot. We've totally spoiled. And what is it? More than spoiled, actually, we have disfigured. We have disfigured Mother Earth by in very unscrupulous manners, doing all kinds of unimaginable things, including like this what is it called? Fracking.
Fracking, yes.
New Vrindavan.
That's very demonic.
Yeah. So many demoniac activities we have been pursuing and continue to practice in modern day society, and therefore we cannot or should not at all be surprised at the different catastrophic effects that are taking place and that will continue actually to take place. And the only remedy, of course, is the bhagavatam, the knowledge that is coming from the bhagavatam, and therefore the importance of of receiving the proper training, the proper education through Gurukula, through Varnashram College, and establishing communities, villages, Vrindavan villages, where this knowledge, both material and spiritual will be combinedly followed and practiced. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're close to the end. Any question or comment? Yes.
Can devotee involved in politics?
Can devotees involved in politics? Only if they are qualified. Prabhupada actually many years ago gave his blessings to the devotees in America to create a political party. We had devotees in America in the 70s running for, different political positions. And you know what the name of the party was? What was the name of the political party the devotees had? In God we trust.
What was it?
In God we trust.
In God we trust.
It's all over there. I mean, that's written on every American dollar. In God we trust. And it continued for some time. Devotees, they would dress up in modern, attire, and they would give their speeches and whatnot. Yeah. After some time, Prabhupada said, "Okay, we're not ready for that yet, but yes, it's better that devotees who are not like prominent members having some particular position within ISKCON, but Grihasthas who are devotees who are nicely following, they can take up different activities, because one of the purposes is to actually reintroduce Vedic culture, Vedic principles of dharma, and ultimately these principles of dharma need to be introduced in legislation. So there are two ways to bring about those changes. One is by making a close friendship and cultivating people who are already in government, so that they can actually become devotees and understand the basic principles, and in this way influence positively. And the other is that some of our own devotees become politicians. And yeah, actually we have in Indonesia, we visited actually last time, we went to Sulawesi. One devotee is the head of the village.
Yeah.
He's in politics.
Mhm.
You can't be the head of a village without being in politics, right? I mean, same thing. And I was in Czech Republic last year, and so in different here in India also, I know some devotees who are head of village. So we need more of that, and once we have some Kshatriya Gurukulas established, then it will happen more quickly, because we need this type of we need to train. Prabhupada wanted that we work out. That's why Varnashram College is for that purpose, to train individuals to be especially leaders, because the three natural leaders in society, in Vedic society, are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. They're the natural leaders, because so many people will serve or work under them. They will be guiding so many people. They're natural leaders. So the more they actually become Vedic leaders, based on the principles of dharma, then slowly, gradually, some positive changes will be there.
isn't it also that these, they, of course, being in the Gurukula, they will be trained properly morally.
Yes.
One of the biggest problems, politics is the help of all kinds of sinful activities.
There are good
But
politics and bad politics.
Bad politics, which is what we have mostly today.
Yes, yes. So we have to introduce good politics.
We have to what?
We have to introduce good politics.
Good politics.
Christ-
Moral people.
Well, Krishna is known as the best politician.
Yes.
We just have to follow in his footsteps, which may not be so easy. but yeah, when we hear the word politician or politics, what comes to mind right away is like dirty politics, or it's negative. But politics is a big science. It is. I mean, the Pandavas, they went to Gurukul to learn the science. It's one of the 4 pillars of Vedic education. One of the 4 vidyas, science, Chatur Vidya. It's called Dandaniti. Dandaniti. Danda. Yeah. The rod of punishment. Unless people know that they can be punished, society cannot run properly. So that's why in Indonesia they have the kris. The kris is a special kind of sword that is actually given by the Brahmana when someone is anointed as local king or local leader. We did that actually in our village in Indonesia. The head of the village, whenever we changed, we changed the head of the village when I was in our village at Gaur Purnima time. And part of the ceremony was that, okay, now the previous head has to hand over the kris. And usually that is done by Brahmana. And there's a special mantra. Special mantras are there. Everything is there. And the mantra is telling when the Brahmana, because actually ultimately everything belongs to Krishna. The land belongs to Krishna. And in the name of Krishna, the Brahmanas are the ones to whom the land is meant to be, belong to. But the Brahmanas are busy with their different activities, so they appoint the Kshatriyas to actually protect the land, to administer society, organize society, etc., like that. So it's a Brahmana who, in a special ceremony that you see also in the Mahabharata when different kings were anointed, and the mantra that is chanted is that now I'm giving you this kris. That's the name they call it in Indonesia. Sword, special sword.
Oh, it's a sword.
It's a sword. It's a special sword that is imbued with Shakti. Yeah. Now I'm giving you this sword. You should not overuse it, nor should you underuse it. When it is necessary, you should use it. So everything is there actually, and these things gradually will need to be introduced for Brahmanas, for Kshatriyas, for Vaishyas, for Shudras also, how to be a qualified servant. Ultimately, everyone, even the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, they are meant to be especially high quality servants, to society. Okay, we just heard the bell. Dong, dong, dong.
Oh, it's 7.
It's 7 o'clock, correct? Yeah. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaura Pimanandi.